3 weeks later, we're going to be on some red carpet somewhere, and William Morris is going to call someone to sign us. None of that happened.
You've mentioned that a beautiful lesson for creative people is getting knocked down.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? It sounds troubling. Why would that be good?
Well, it's been said a lot, you don't know who you are until you've been knocked down, and figure out who you are is always in how you get up and how gracefully you can get up without retaining too much anger and resentment for things. You're gonna get knocked down in the film business. I don't care how high up you are. There's gonna be issues, and when you've been down, then you can get up. We had a film that we were going to do that was going to be this bigger film. It was going to be the one that goes up and up, and it got all the way to location scouting, everything. We had production offices, everything. And something happened, and the bottom just dropped out of it. And we literally were in the production office, like they said, movie's off. We're like, what are we going to do now? And a lot of people just went their separate ways and everything else. And I still remember how kind of low that felt. And then it wasn't like, you try to save it. Oh, maybe we can go over here and somebody will do it. And that didn't work. So we just had nothing, had to start over from scratch. And I thought, wow, what a great lesson that is. What a great humbling experience. So I know now that it's not just going to go just like I want it. So we need to be able to figure out how to bring yourself back up from that. And in that is where you learn the most valuable lessons in life and in film. In life, obviously, it's, how you, test your inner strength and ability to stay focused. In film, you learn how to do things that you were going to hire 3 guys to do. Now you can hire 1 guy to do. And you learn that you can do it with the 1 guy if you help. You learn how these things all work and how they all work together, and you become a better filmmaker that way. So when you get knocked down, that's where the lessons are. I mean, like I had said before, the first film, we were kind of on cloud 9. We didn't know what was going on. We just knew, well, 3 weeks later, we're going to be on some red carpet somewhere, and William Morris is going to call someone to sign us. None of that happened. So the real lessons were learned after we had that thing fall out from under us and say, okay, now we can rebuild. Now we can rebuild with something solid where we know what we're doing, where we know how to get it done. And we can then look at an investor or look at a distributor or someone who's giving an MG or whatever and say, I know exactly how to get this film done. We don't have to depend on anybody that we don't know. We know exactly how to get it done. And that confidence, in that gleam in your eye, that confidence, is something that financiers want to see. That you're not thinking about how great you're going to be, that you're thinking about the film, you're thinking about their investment, you're thinking about all the elements, and that if something happens, you can fix it. You're not just going to fall apart on the ground. You know how to pick yourself back up and pick your production back up and keep it moving forward. That's a much better investment than if you've never been knocked down.
Can you tell when you go to hire someone or you have an interview with someone, for whatever it is, whether it's a script reading, a producer, and there's something in you that knows that person hasn't been knocked down and maybe they're not going to weather a tougher shoot, something with a little more challenge, a little more edge to it?
Absolutely. You can tell. You can tell it right in their eyes. I mean, you don't want to be prejudice against them, meaning in that way. But it's a lot of times you can tell by what they ask for. If they say, I need this, I need that, and I need this, and then you say, well, we might not have that. How are we going to do the film if we don't have that? Well, if you haven't done the film without that, then you might be on the wrong film. Because we may have that, and we may be able to get that, but it can't be like, well, you're doing DP stuff, and the guy says, well, I can't work without a focus puller. Well, most DPs don't want to work without a focus puller and have a focus puller. We have focus pullers. But the DPs that are doing indie films, most of them know that they've at some point had to pull their own focus. Okay? So if you get somebody that says, well, I've never worked without a focus puller, well, that may not be the right guy for us. Because even though we'll give them a focus puller, it's still potentially problematic that they have maybe never been on enough films and had those kind of experience. So if something happens, the focus puller, gets sick or runs off or something, we can still get the film done, and things don't stop unless things go exactly the way they're supposed to go. So I think that's a decent example of it, but it can be a lot of things. It's very rare to find an actor that has not been knocked down. That's very common. They've all had, any actor has dealt with massive amounts of rejection, massive amounts of disappointment. They know they were perfect for the role, they did a perfect read, and they never got the call back. Or they got the call back, and then they gave the part to the producer's girlfriend or something like that. They come in pretty strong in that area of things not going their way. So I give them that credit. And certainly directors and filmmakers, you go through it constantly of having, this is going to go and it doesn't go, and this is going to go and this is going to go. It's one of the reasons we moved to Mexico. We just stay with the real stuff.
So based on what someone asks, questions, and their needs, you can tell how it'll work out?
I think so. If you ask the right questions. I ask, what was the lowest budget movie you've ever made? Let's say I'm talking to a crew member. Say, have you did student type films, things like that? And that'll kind of inform you as to, how cooperative they'll be. And, what do you do if there's not enough time or daylight? What do you do? And, well, we'll just shoot tomorrow. No, you can't shoot tomorrow. What are you going to do? Well, they can always figure something out. I'll put the light up here like this. We'll do like this. We'll bring it in close. We'll just, we'll do the reverse so we see the sun, and then we'll turn around and I'll light it this way. There's all kinds of things you can do. So you're always looking for flexibility. You're looking for people that feel like they can get it done regardless of the situation and the scenario. It's the most important thing. So, and I don't see a lot of people that are really, I've had to say, you know what, I can't have that person. It's not a lot. Most people in film have come up through the same system with their friends and in student films and short films, and they've seen it all most of the time. So it's not like people coming out of some prestigious school where they've never seen anything. I mean, you see people. A lot of people go to film school and to SC or UCLA, and that's great. But everybody knows that it's on set experience is what everybody's looking for.